I was at Yajabo Rico from RicoScores, and I have a big-time Washington Commanders leading up to rookie minicamp update. A lot of things, man. First of all, I'm going to tell you when rookie minicamp is happening, and I'm going to give you every off-season practice date that we know of, at least leading up till before training camp. We don't know training camp yet, but we at least know mandatory mini camp, OTAs, and things like that. I'm gonna give you all those dates. Also, JP Finley said that he thinks that there's a chance that we may have 2 joint practices this offseason. We're gonna dive into that. Of course, we got to dive into the upcoming opponents that we have for this 2024 regular season, because the scheduled release date for the entire NFL is going to be announced very soon. I'll give y'all that date, and I'll give you a couple of predictions for when we may play certain teams and which teams I prefer to play at a certain time as well. Also, we have a lot of roster turnover. We're going to dive into that stat because it's absolutely insane. Also, there's a report that the Washington Commanders really wanted a tackle at one point. We're going to dive into that. And we have more Washington Commander 2024 rookie class love and Washington front office giving the Capitol Heights in Maryland. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you follow the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, daily content on there as well. I appreciate all of the patience. Now we just got to knock out Johnny Newton to finish up the rookie class breakdowns, individual breakdowns for all of those guys. Then I'm gonna do my full-blown 30-minute, probably an hour-long draft review and grade, give comps and everything about everybody, where people fit, who's day one ready, who's not, what's their ceilings and things like that. And then of course I want to do film sessions for every player that we drafted and some of the notable undrafted free agents as well. So stay tuned to that as we get closer and closer to training camp. So much content on the way, so many fun ideas. I also want to give y'all a big-time Jaden Daniels update that I may come out with tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, man, instead of wasting more of y'all time, let's go and get to this video. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, working in chronological order, the Washington Commanders rookie camp starts May 10th and goes all the way through the 12th, and that's 2 days away. It starts Friday, goes all the way through Sunday, just to let you know. Today's Wednesday. And then we have OTAs, off-season workouts, so technically voluntary, but for reasons I've already explained in other videos, I feel like we're going to have a larger percentage turnout than we typically have. I don't really see anybody pulling like a Chase Young and working out, but working out somewhere else by himself with like a specific trainer, maybe a couple of players from another team. I see with us bringing in an entirely new regime, top to bottom, owner. Because remember, Josh Harris didn't have the team this time last year yet. So new owner, new GM, new everything, coaching staff basically, except for like quarterbacks coach and wide receivers coach. And then even Ryan Kerrigan is still here, but he moved to a different role. Everything is different. And then we're going to talk about this later on in the video, but we have the most roster turnover going from 2023 to 2024 out of the entire NFL. The most. So I just feel like for those reasons alone, we're going to have as many people involved as possible with every practice possible. I don't think people are going to really skip practices because everybody's new here. Even guys like Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, and Deron Payne. Yeah, you've been on the burgundy and gold for the past few years, but you haven't been in Dan Quinn's defense or Joe Witt Jr.'s defense or Cliff Kingsbury's offense, new quarterback. Like, we need as many days as possible working together so that we don't go out there week one looking like the team in the NFL with the most roster turnover. So again, rookie minicamp May 10th through 12th. Then we have OTA off-season voluntary workouts May 14th through 15th. Then again May 17th. Then May 21st through the 22nd. Then May 24th, June 4th and 5th, and then June 7th. And then we have mandatory minicamp June 11th through 13th. And then there's going to be a pretty big gap of like not really much going on unless maybe we make some free agency moves, but I doubt it. Pretty sure there's going to be like a big nothingness from the Commander side of things. Y'all know me, man. There's always something to talk about. I'm going to keep y'all updated on a daily basis, film sessions, all kinds of stuff. So don't worry about that. But from the Commanders end of things, it's probably going to be a pretty dead period going from like mid-June all the way up until training camp starts, which will probably be sometime in July. But now the NFL announced yesterday that we will officially get a full-blown schedule release for the entire NFL Wednesday, May 15th. So this time next week in a couple of hours, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So May 15th, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be done through NFL Network. But you already know that like they're going to like leak random games leading up to that. So we may even get some leaks days ahead of time. But officially, as of 8 p.m. next Wednesday, we'll have the entire schedule unveiled, like 100%. But of course, again, we're going to get leaks here and there, especially on the Commanders end of things, especially like Wednesday morning, next Wednesday morning, well before we get to 8 p.m. We'll probably already know a couple of the games and when they'll happen and things like that. And this is also, just in case if you're interested, not really important news, but just in case if you wanted to know, this is the latest schedule release since at least 1990. Just to give you this, so if you're thinking like, wow, that's a little bit later than we're used to, yeah, it actually kind of is. And now as far as our schedule goes, home opponents. Of course, we play the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles twice a year, home and away, so that's already out the way. You have the Falcons at home, Panthers at home, Browns at home, Steelers at home, Titans at home, and Bears at home. Reunion for Caleb Williams in his hometown. Really interesting. Away, of course, Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles again. Then you have Saints, Buccaneers, Ravens, Cardinals, Bengals. And because we play an odd number of games every season, this is our turn to now have more home games than we have away games. One more home game than we do away. So technically, because of that, we strategically have an advantage over the AFC. It's like an NFC AFC thing. This year, the NFC plays more home games. We'll see how it goes. And first of all, how many primetime games are y'all thinking? Do you think Jayden Daniels is enough to give us more than we usually get just by himself, just alone, new regime, all of that type of stuff? I mean, are we thinking like at least 2? We'll see. You know me, man, as a guy that streams the games, I prefer if we have as many 1 p.m. games on a Sunday as possible, because I just love being able to stream at 1. We stop at 4. I can still catch a lot of the other games. I can do my game review. We have time to do like a call-in live stream, like game review analysis type of thing for y'all to call in after the game, and we're not up till 12 a.m. because the game didn't happen at 8 or something like that. So I personally prefer as many 1 p.m. games as possible, but let me know if you prefer primetime games and how many you think we may actually end up with. And also, how many wins do you have? I'm working on a video where I'm gonna do like a full breakdown game by game, exactly how many wins I see us getting and which wins I see us getting. I may even do like score predictions for each week as well, so stay tuned for that. But I want to know how y'all feel about, like, if y'all had to give a rough estimate right now, how many games we'll win. Just go ahead and put that in the comment section if you can. Of course, bye weeks affect a lot of things, so we got to see about those bye weeks, man. I hope they show us love with those bye weeks, man. But schedule order wise, because again, we already know who we're playing. I mean, we already know who we're playing like a year or two ahead, so that we already knew who were the home and away opponents a minute ago. But now, schedule order wise, leading up to the schedule release, for me, my only real preference is please Caleb Williams in the DMV week 1. Let's go ahead and set it off. While Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams are still fairly raw, they don't have any games under their belt, let them have a rookie year 1, day 1 rookie off type of thing. I would love that. Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels in Caleb Williams' hometown against Jayden Daniels, who is now playing for his hometown team. That's probably like the only game that I really have a preference for when we play it. Because we already know where we're playing every game, home or away. So as far as like when we play each game, I feel like week 1, my only real preference would be, let's just go ahead and set it off with Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels. I would love that. And then I guess also I'm just hoping, I mean, nowhere near as strong of a preference, but preferably like the Falcons game at 1 p.m. since it's a dome stadium anyway, and I can hurry up and get back home to do my review video because it's in Atlanta. So go to the game. Root for us to win. I'm confident that we will win. Jayden Daniels versus struggling, hurt Kirk Cousins, maybe even Michael Penix by that point, depending on when we play them. I'm expecting us to win that game. You know, I'm Employee of the Month Falcons hater, so I love nothing more than to beat the Falcons. But it would be nice to be able to play them at 1 p.m., get home by like 5 or 6, do my game review video, and still have time to do like a call-in show. So I guess that's my only slight preference. And then also, I mean, to get even lower in the preference scale, I mean, with it being a dome stadium, I guess we might as well play in the winter, because no matter what the weather is outside, it's going to feel beautiful inside going to a Falcons game. So it's almost kind of like a waste if we play the Falcons in perfect 70-degree weather. You might as well go ahead and save those perfect weather games for those prehistoric open to the elements stadiums like the Commander Stadium in Landover, Maryland. All of the dome ones like the Falcons Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you might as well save those for the winter so I don't have to be outside struggling watching that game. And I've been seeing some people say that they want and think that we actually may play the Saints week 1. And I can see that, especially with like Jaden Daniels. Even though he's from the IE over there in California, he did play for LSU, so I would think that would be pretty cool. I'm not leaning either way on that one at all. But since 2017, if you really think about it, we've played the Eagles week 1 the most out of any team in the NFL, and the Cardinals the second most because we played the Eagles 3 times and the Cardinals twice, and everybody else has only been once who we have played since 2017 outside of those 2 teams. So just based off of recent history, it may just end up being one of those 2, but who knows? Sounds like Jaden Daniels has a high chance to start a rookie season off going against, if it's the Eagles or the Cardinals, against 2 of his draft comps coming out of the draft. A lot of people felt like Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray. And I think that reunion/revenge from Cliff Kingsbury going against Kyler Murray is going to be funny and petty, because Cliff going to be over there with Jaden Daniels like, look at my new but updated better version of you over here in this quarterback that I have that's also taller, might I add. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like there's so many storylines. We can find a storyline no matter who the week 1 opponent is, but I feel like a division rival, even though that may not go well for us because we have the most roster turnover not only out of the entire NFL, of course, but specifically our division. So we may want to avoid playing those guys until we have a little bit more chemistry going down the road. So I would prefer for it to not to be Eagles week 1, but the Cardinals, hey, let's go ahead. Saints, cool, and I would prefer again the Bears in Landover, Maryland. I more specifically, I just hope it's a home opponent so we can start week 1, crowd really into it. I'm coming off of a really fun training camp, and we could just go straight into having some home field advantage to start off the season, Jaden Daniels' rookie season. That's really my main preference. And then also, shouts out to John Ridgway for setting the tone with this picture right here. Like, I don't know what type of swag this is. I don't know what he going for, but I love the confidence, and I love how different it is, man. Shouts out to John Ridgway. He knows that he has to be at least ahead of Fadarian Mathis in the depth chart. I mean, we'll see, because Johnny Newton, we did draft him high in the second round to be an interior defensive lineman technically, but Johnny Newton is probably our smallest defensive lineman even compared to Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. He's more of like a pass rush specialist. Now, he can stop the run. He can be on the field every down, in my opinion, but like John Ridgway in contrast and Fadarian Mathis, they're both pure nose tackles that come in and eat up double teams. Johnny Newton's not that guy. And between John Ridgway and Fadarian Mathis, who right now I would say has the lead on that specific role as far as making this 53-man roster, I give it to John Ridgway. Even if Fadarian Mathis does make the 53-man roster, I just don't see him being a heavy part of the rotation unless he shows us something this offseason. And again, shouts out to John Ridgway for this outfit. Now, moving on, JP Finley had a podcast recently, like a couple of days ago, and he mentioned a lot of interesting things, but the most interesting thing that he said, in my opinion, is that we may have 2 joint practices this year. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the source is, so we're just going to move forward not knowing if this is real, if this is true, if this is very likely. Let's just assume that it is destined to happen, and hey, man, let's get it. I love joint practices, and give us great teams to practice against as well. Don't give us sorry teams. Let it be some great teams. I feel like the Ravens should be an automatic every year. Let's go ahead and just have that relationship with them, Adam Peters and those guys over there. I just feel like we should just go ahead and build that to where we just assume every offseason, every training camp, we're going to have a joint practice with the Ravens. I mean, it just makes too much sense. First of all, another great team. That's my main criteria. But also, they're right there. It just makes too much sense. And for very selfish reasons as well, just me personally being Rico of Street Scores, the Ravens have a lot of players that I just naturally root for. So I would love to just watch them if I'm able to get out there and watch one of the joint practices. You got Georgia dog linebacker Roquan Smith. That's an automatic. Then you also have Rashad Bateman, who's from the state of Georgia. I remember him coming out of high school, and for some reason Georgia slept on him. They didn't see how good he would end up being in college, and then he balled out. Then you have Kyle Hamilton, who's from Atlanta. I'm still sick that he went to Notre Dame. I don't know why Georgia wasn't all over that. I believe we offered him. We didn't offer Rashad Bateman. I think we offered him like too late, And then by then he already made up his mind, like, y'all didn't want me back then, why do you suddenly want me now, type of thing. So I'm not mad at Rashad Bateman for that at all. Kyle Hamilton, I think we offered him, he just preferred to go to Notre Dame. Maybe Georgia just didn't give him the type of attention and dedication that he wanted. I don't know. And then Nate Wiggins literally went to my same high school, Westlake High School, all of that. So those are just a few people already that I'm very attached to, just from being at least from somewhat in the area. And then how am I not root for Lamar and everything he represents, the personality, the way he looks, the way he talks, everything, man. Lamar is one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. So I love the Ravens just off of a lot of the players that they have. I don't root for them as a team, but I would love to have joint practices with them every season. And then if we do a joint practice with the second team, which is, I mean, first of all, do teams do that? Is that just a thing? Like 2 joint practices in the same offseason? Is that like a thing that other NFL teams do that I'm just not aware of and it's been going around, or would that be like an unprecedented thing? I don't know. Either way, if we do find a way to get another joint practice in, I feel like, again, the Ravens are automatic. So moving on and just assuming the Ravens will be one of them, I'd prefer either a really good team, preferably one with several championship winning UGA players on it, like the more recent UGA players. I'm not talking about guys from like that were drafted 5+ years ago. I'm talking about like the last couple of years. You know, you got the Steelers with a few of them, you got the Eagles with a few of them, you got the Packers with a few of them as well. You know what I'm saying? There's a few teams out there that I'm like, let's do it. Or just another NFC East team, which would be like the Eagles for the rivalry spirit. Also some UGA players over there. And I just think that getting that trash talking going early in the off season, if we do a joint practice with a NFC East opponent, I feel like that would be really fun. But of course, matching up against one of the elite teams in the NFL, I feel like that would be the most important criteria, especially for that second team. I feel like it would be a big learning experience for us and the players. That would be like a nice little, you know, this is where we are right now. Like, humble us. We're in training camp. We're thinking, oh, the offense looks crazy, the defense looks crazy. We get to a joint practice against a really good team and they humble us. I think that's a good thing. And then we know, all right, we got to get our priorities straight. These are the things we need to work on. We were not as good as we thought. That means we need to put in more work, more effort to get better before we get to this regular season. Sometimes you need some common sense knocked into you. And so I would like for both of our joint practices to be against elite teams. But of course, other teams are going to look at us like, who are y'all? We want to joint practice with elite teams as well, and y'all are not one of those. So we'll see what happens. Now, moving on, the Washington Commanders also made a couple of moves yesterday. The Commanders released linebacker Brandon Boyer Randall, cornerback D'Angelo Mandel, and defensive end Joshua Pryor, and they had to get down to 91 again. We're allowed to have 91 because we have an international pathway player. I believe he's from Nigeria or Ghana. I'm almost sure it's Nigeria, but either way, we had to get down to 91 before rookie minicamp. Again, rookie minicamp is in a couple of days, so they went ahead and made those moves because I'm assuming we were sitting at 94 until they cut those 3 people. Now, moving on, also, Ian Rappaport tweeted and reported that former Saints guard and tackle Andreas Pete is signing with the Raiders. Ben Standig came out and said after that, Washington showed some interest earlier this offseason in the longtime guard who played left tackle last season, but the interest appeared to have waned. So there is interest in a veteran tackle. I'm not exactly sure if it's very strong, but at the very least, you could tell that they're monitoring the market. Even after having Cornelius Lucas getting them early in free agency, they were still calling around, looking around and see, is there another left tackle that we can maybe bring in to try to compete, or at least something like that. So we'll see how much they keep tabs on the available guys. They may just wait until at least we get to see Brandon Coleman in person at training camp before we jump the gun and go sign a veteran to immediately start over him. Because what if, and it is a really big if, this is a very optimistic if, but what if somehow he's already actually ready to start day one at tackle? Like, we get to training camp and Brandon Coleman looks like our starting left tackle. We don't even have to worry about that weakness anymore. I would personally go ahead and sign somebody like a David Bakhtiari on a very cheap 1-year deal today and just hope he can give you 4 to 7 games as a starting left tackle. I mean, literally, I would just go get him today right now. But I understand why the Commanders would wait until they get to see what Coleman looks like against our scary front seven that we're putting together right right now. I can definitely see the logic behind it, but I don't even want to chance that. I don't want David Bakhtiari to end up on another team, but he's been available this long, so who knows? But then again, after the draft, both Mekhi Becton and Andres Pete ended up getting signed by teams. So, hey, man, that tackle market is getting even thinner than it already is. Now, moving on, shouts out to Nikki Javala for pointing this out. Of the Commanders' 25 Week 1 starters, specialists included, from last season, the 2023 season, only 13 are still on the roster. That's Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, John Bates, Samuel Cosme, Andrew Wiley, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Jamin Davis, Emmanuel Forrest, Benjamin St. Juste, Derek Forrest, and Tress Way. And Derek Forrest, did he even play last year? He got hurt. He was out pretty much all season. So, I mean, that statistic is even more alarming than it sounds. But really, it's not alarming. Actually, it's a really good thing. When you win 4 games, I feel like being the team that turns your roster over the most going into the next season is probably the right thing to do. And so Jason OTC over there from Over the Cap brought up a great chart, as you can see on the screen right now. And the Commanders have the fewest percent of players returning from 2023 at 57%. Nikki Javala gave you the starters. Jason OTC is giving you just the overall entire team. We have the least amount of players returning from the previous season, so we have the most roster turnover. We are the most different team going from 2023 to 2024. Other teams had GM changes. Other teams had head coaching changes, but no other team in the NFL had as much of a change as we did, and I love it. And it's very likely to be probably even less than that when we cut it down to 53. You never know. One of these veterans from the 2023 season may only be here right now because we have 90 spots available, technically 91. But I'm expecting a lot of the 37 cuts when we try to go from 91 to 53 to probably be some of those veterans from the previous regime that are just right now sticking around because kind of why not? Especially guys like a Braden Daniels, who was the last regime's project and long-term experiment. Who knows if Adam Peters and Cliff Kingsbury and those guys even want to deal with that experiment right there. They may just let them go, put them on the practice squad, whatever. And Adam Peters and Dan Quinn just drafted their high-ceiling developmental tackle in the 3rd round of Brandon Coleman just last month. So again, they may be over the whole Braden Daniels situation. So just to let you know, we already are the team in the NFL with the most roster turnover, and we could have more roster turnover coming by the time we get to August and we cut it down to 53. Now, also moving on, there's some more Commanders draft love out there. I've already done a full video breaking down, look at everywhere on the internet, everybody that was praising the Commanders, and the video ended up being like 40 minutes long because most people, almost everybody, absolutely loved our draft overall. But now CBS Sports ranked the Commanders 2024 draft class as the most impactful class. He didn't give us a grade. It's like specifically, he has an article breaking down the most impactful 2024 draft classes potentially. This is your boy, Chris Trapasso, and it says ranking top 10 most impactful 2024 NFL draft classes for upcoming seasons. And it's the Los Angeles Chargers at 10. And my boy Lab McConkey over there, along with Joe Alt, I can see it, and Junior Colson. I love that group right there. Those are some of like my guys. And then the Seattle Seahawks 9th. Then you have the Rams 8th. You have the Patriots 7th, Raiders 6th, Bills 5th, New York Giants 4th, Green Bay Packers 3rd, Cardinals 2nd, and then the Commanders 1. And then he listed our impact rookies as Jaden Daniels, Johnny Newton, Mike Sanverstill, Ben Sinnott, and wide receiver Luke McCaffrey. He also goes on to say those 5 picks by GM Adam Peters were sensational. Denzel Washington, man of fire type stuff from the Commanders' new GM. Daniels has all of the dynamic skills to be that new age dual threat passer that terrifies defenses underneath at the intermediate level, downfield, and with his legs. If Newton was able to work out before the draft, no way he's available in round 1. He can be I guess he meant round 2. But he said round 1 in the article. He can be a 50-plus pressure defensive tackle as a rookie. Sanverstill can be the annoying nickel corner who tackles like a champ, blitzes off the corner, and sticks the slot receivers underneath. And Sinnott legitimately has Sam Laporta-esque athleticism and powerful yak skills. McCaffrey will probably make the least impact of the bunch, but his diverse route running skills will likely help him get on the field and earn targets sooner rather than later. And hopefully, speaking of some rookies, we'll get these rookie numbers soon. I'm sorry, Tressway. We need that 5 for Jaden Daniels. And Marcus Mariota, for sure, for sure, gonna need that 0 off of you from Mike Sanverstill, point blank, period. Shouts out to Chris Cooley for this tweet. And of course, a lot of people on the internet attacking him for it. But he tweeted, only this fan base will be arguing against the quarterback they just selected number 2 overall, getting the jersey number he wants because the punter, in all caps, has that number. I'm right with you, man. I love Tressway and all. I absolutely love him. But, dog, I mean, maybe we could do like a donation to like a charity type of situation, but Jaden Daniels should be able to get the number he wants, man. It's just absolutely, it should make too much sense. I don't even understand how this is a debate. And then also, before we get up out of here, lastly, but not in least at all, in partnership with PG County and Kaboom, the Commanders are helping fund and build a playground for children in Capitol Heights, Maryland. According to Fox 5, the playground is set to open next week and cost nearly $400,000. Commanders players also volunteered to help as well. Now, I don't know what kind of park costs $400,000, but that thing must be crazy. I may have to go there and have some fun. I just got to see what a $400,000 park budget looks like, man. So that is crazy. Shouts out to the Commanders. Shouts out to the players for that. Shouts out to Kaboom. Everybody that's involved with that, man. I just felt like I had to throw that in there. Even though this has nothing really to do with rookie mini camp or the rookie class like everything else does, this was still very important to me to go ahead and shout out. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned because, again, Johnny Newton breakdown, comp, weaknesses, strengths, how the national media felt about the pick, just like I've done individual breakdowns for all of these players that we drafted and even some of the notable undrafted free agents. Make sure you stay tuned because that one's on the way very soon. I'm also coming with a big time, basically Jaden Daniels update from the time that we drafted him up until the day that I've put this video out there, more than likely tomorrow. Everything that's gone down with him, the praise that he's gotten from the national media, sponsorships that he's involved in, when he's had interviews, what are some of the most notable things he said, what has his work ethic been like since he's been drafted, how much has he been working with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm keeping y'all updated on all of that. I'm about to do one big Jaden Daniels update going into hopefully before we get the rookie mini camp. So I'm gonna try to get that video out sometime, maybe tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, something like that, maybe after the Johnny Newton film breakdown. But yeah, man, I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content because, again, even when the Commanders go in the dead period, that does not mean street scores will. I have so many video ideas that it's only just a matter of getting them out there because of time. So it's never a lack of ideas. So just make sure you stay tuned. I really appreciate y'all. Do not leave this video without leaving a like, and of course let me know in the comment section everything about this video, whatever opinions you may have. Of course, try to predict the schedule. I don't really do schedule predictions, but if you have your schedule predictions, go ahead and throw those in there. Or if you have any schedule preferences, let me know those as well. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.